So as a lot of you will know by now, we have a particularly high mileage Mark II Focus RS. And when we originally bought this car for £14,500, it was in a bit of a bad way. The wheels were black, the bonnet vents were black, the back window was scratched, we couldn't open the door because the side skirt was broken, and a million other things, but most of it now is sorted out. However, there is one more issue. And if I show you that side and that side, you'll probably still have no idea what I'm talking about. But you're not on your own, because neither do I. But I do have my glamorous assistant, Ash, who doesn't want to be on camera, so I won't get Ash on camera, right? Can you please explain to me what's going on? Or, I tell you what, if you don't want to talk, because I know we struggle sometimes, can you just demonstrate for us, please, what's going on here? Ash is going to turn the steering wheel to the left and then turn it to the right. So it's less than one turn to the left and then just over 1.5 turns to the right. That cannot be right, surely. And even looking at the wheels themselves, when they're on full lock, you can see that right hand down, there's a lot more turn on the wheel than there is left hand down. And obviously when you're driving it, it's really noticeable as well. The lock, when you're trying to turn to the left, is a nightmare. But I have spoken to a Ford specialist and they've said that they think that left hand down is correct. The terrible turning circle is correct because these are renowned for it. So we think that this side now is missing a stop in it, which actually stops it from giving us as much lock as this side has. Not only that, there is one other issue with these wheels as well. So we're going to quickly turn it round and put it on the ramp because our ramps are backwards ramps. So we'll get it on here and I'll show you a little bit of something else. So I need to explain to you guys that what we're about to show you isn't a specific way of showing you. These are everything that I do on this channel now. You know, usually it's like we wing it and I'd just stick a tape measure on it and it wouldn't be right, but I'd show you anyway. Now we've got Ash here who's very particular. He keeps saying, don't have your audience thinking I'm doing this because I'm a dickhead. This is the only way I can do it and try and show you. This ain't the proper way of showing you. So I just need to put that little caveat in. Is that all right? Jesus Christ. All I want to show you is that this wheel here, right, obviously this isn't the proper way. Right, Ash, I know you don't, can you just explain to people what you're trying to do here?
Just show them that it's out. It's not a proper way of doing it, right, but it gives them an idea.
So this is not designed for this specific use. And the tyres, before you say, are exactly the same, and the wheels are the same, and it's also running the exact same spacer. Everything is the same from both sides. So you can see that's flush against that. That comes out.
We're running it in that groove as well.
Running it in the groove from the skirt to the wing, right? Just in there. Then it follows, obviously it's on an angle because of this tyre sidewall, then it follows that. So what you're going to have to do now is just turn it upside down on the other side and you're going to see how far out this is, how much further that wheel sticks out than this one. So you're in the groove there again, but then you can see the gap there where this bit, if I can get my finger in the right bit, that bit there was flush with the tyre sidewall, but now you can quite clearly see, what's that, about 10 mil? 8 mil, maybe? So I know Ash doesn't say a great deal, but he likes to finger. So can you show us what you're saying here? Have you done that before? But then you can clearly see that it's what, maybe 2.5, nearly 3 fingers that side. Not only that, this side here seems to make an awful, on lock, an awful like creaking, clunking, horrible noise from around here somewhere. The other day off camera, just to try something, we greased the subframe bushes. That seems to have gotten rid of the horrible creaking, knocking, whatever. So I don't know if that's because the subframe isn't quite in the right way, but we pumped loads of grease up there. Now it's not making the noise. But we aren't happy about that, are we? We want to sort this out properly, which is exactly what we're going to do. Now, we know we've got issues with the steering on this car, but I wonder if there's anything mechanically wrong with it as well. And to find out exactly what's wrong with it, I'm going to have a look with my new Carly OBD2 reader. And straight away, this doesn't look good. And I can't believe I'm seeing this many issues, to be honest. There's no warning lights on the dash whatsoever, but I've got pretty much every control module with a fault on this car. We've got headlight control module, parking aid control module. The one that's causing me the most concern, though, is the message center module, boost pressure not detected. Now I'm hoping that when we had this car tuned at Collins Performance, we disconnected a few bits and bobs. Fingers crossed that is something to do with that. Another fault this does all the time. Let's see if it does it. There's issues with the parking sensors. Definitely parking sensors at the back. There's at least 3 with issues. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to read the system. That's going to update it to make sure the code is still exactly the same. I then click on clear this system. Hopefully then we have a bit of good news. The system's clear. we drive it around for a bit, and they never come back. Not only that, Carly can code in certain features that were never enabled from factory, like sweeping dials, sweeping indicators, flashing lights, horns, beeps, all kinds of stuff that maybe you wanted on your car that you never got. So now I've cleared all them fault codes, fingers crossed in a couple of days I'll come back to this and we'll have no issues left. So go and see for yourself just how brilliant these little devices are. Check out the link in the description below and use code EvilGT23 for your 15% off. Now on a previous video we did notice that this bit just in here, if I can get that on camera there, was sort of bent in a bit. I had to sort of bend it back out and get this front crash bar straight again. So I'm wondering if what the alignment is on both sides of this is related to the fact that I think at some point in its life this car has had a bump this side. I may as well introduce this guy here. This guy here with his hands full is called Lou, and he's a fabricator.
Turbo Jesus.
You look a bit like Jesus actually with that barnet. What's going on with that? Well anyway, for you guys who've been asking me about the Astra GTE, this is Ash's friend. So Ash the mechanic who's been helping me out with all of this stuff. It was originally Ash's, he sold it to his mate. What Lou is going to be doing for him is sorting out the exhaust. I've not put this on the channel just because it's not our car. But it is epic. I mean, look how clean that is underneath. You guys would be buzzing over this. If Ash actually spoke to people, I'd be able to get the information out of him. Ash, what engine's in this?
It's 220 lap, red top turbo.
There you go. So it's a really nice clean car. It used to be yours, didn't it? But it's your mate's now. And it's broken, it's on a ramp. So that tells you the kind of cars he's selling to his mates.
It's not broke, he wanted me to do a conversion on it.
So more to the point anyway, Lou, just here, is going to be helping me with the turbo. Obviously I'll be showing him, you know, the welding side of things and stuff. He did say he needed some help with a lot of things, so I'll crack out my welding certificate. I'll show him how to weld the bits and bobs on, but ultimately I'll let you do most of the work, mate. Is that all right? Just
Promoting my channel, sort of.
I mean, that's the idea, yeah. Just because obviously you will need, you know, you'll need the experience with the welding side of things, you know. The turbo will be going on the Yaris very soon. We've just got to get the bits and bobs for it. But in the meantime, he's going to be welding up this exhaust for that. So Ash's plan, first and foremost, is to disconnect the steering column from in here and then try and drop the subframe with all the components, all the arms and everything connected to it. So the steering is locked, so it's going to stay where we need it to stay. And then this, what's he saying, Ash? This has got to pull out.
It slides up.
Up.
Yeah.
Towards the steering wheel?
Yeah.
I don't think it does, mate.
I've just had it off.
Oh. There we go. We've got it. Next job is to disconnect the rest of the bolts for this subframe, lower that off and get that out of the way. So whilst Ash had to lie down underneath his works van, I got both wheels off and started on the ball joints at the end of the wishbones. These were miles easier than I thought they were going to be. Quick spray GT85, loosen them off with a cracker bar, and then got the buzz gun on them and got them out. Hey, Matt Armstrong, eat your heart out, right? So I found out, this may be common knowledge for you guys, I don't know, but I found out that the subframe, which there is a subframe in there, for this Mark II Focus RS, is actually the exact same subframe that is on a Mark 1 Cougar, Ford Cougar, which is like the 4x4 thing. When people try and sell a Mark II Focus RS subframe, it's like 200 or 300 quid. Some of them are anyway that I saw, that are in alright condition. I managed to get this one, but the condition is decent, right? That was £75 delivered. This is where things started to get tricky, to be honest. Them anti-roll bar links are an absolute nightmare to get off, but I still think I was having a better day than Ash. In between Ash helping me get the subframe off this, he's also servicing a work van and he's covered himself in oil. I thought he said he was a professional. I gave up on them anti-roll bar links in the end, couldn't do it. Decided to have a go at the power steering lines. As you can see, I'm back in two. It's not a 3 or a 4mm hex nut, and Ash went, yeah, it's because it's a Torx, mate. Anyway, I got the right bit in the end. I managed to get the bottom bits undone, but Ash was just like, I've had enough of this, I can't watch this anymore. He took over, boxed it off, and we got the power steering lines off in the end. All I've heard this afternoon is Ash whinging about my tools, right? And that'll be why. He snapped me mollies in half. That's not gone well. I'll be totally honest. What have you got to say for yourself? You owe me a pair of mole grips.
Get back to Aldi.
With a new set of mollies, our grumpy mechanic had another go. Still couldn't do it, so he turned into an arsonist. I don't know about anybody else, right, but are these bolts with this thread here, are they not the stupidest idea ever? Because the thread is exposed, gets covered in shit, you then have to stop that from spinning, you have to hold that with an Allen key that's always rusted and knackered, so then you can't get the nut off. Stupid. Whoever's idea this was is a dickhead. We're getting a bit sick and fed up of trying to undo these bolts for parts that are going in the bin anyway, so we have resorted to angle grinding them off. This ball joint stroke drop link type thing is not a normal drop link because it sits inside the hub and literally just comes straight through the anti-roll bar. Usually there's like two ends to them. These, from Ford, are over £100 each. That's just a bit more Focus RS tax for you. So this is what we think was causing the creaking and the clunking on the driver's side, is that the state of these subframe bushes, well, the bush on the replacement subframe is in much better condition than the bush is on the subframe that's coming off. So not only that, this little sort of cross member thing here, well, you can see most of it all over the floor, so there's about 50 quid's worth of Focus RS there. We're going to get some new D bushes for the anti-roll bar. This is also going to get stripped back. This is going to be a lot better underneath once we've finished all of this. But it's like when a little job starts and you think, oh, it's not going to take that long to do, and then it just, oh, we could do changing that and do changing that. Then them anti-roll bar link things that are over 100 quid each, it's like, this is why you don't want to get involved with old crusty cars like this. Cost you a fortune. So because the bushes are in this is just going to be stripped back and treated. So did you say this would be coming back red?
Yeah.
We're going to rattle can that black. That's going to be stripped and powder coated, probably satin black, same as that, and that's for the bin. So there's nothing obviously wrong with this steering rack and with the inner tie rods. They look absolutely fine. I assume these are the stops. One of the guys at Collins Performance, Gary, was saying maybe one of the stops aren't on the end, but clearly the stops are on both sides.
I hope you don't put that on.
Although now we've got Ash here, this garage has gone from professional to semi-professional. We have had a quick chat off camera and decided that we're not going to stop at the front, we're going to also have a go at the back as well. So before we got the car, these little arms here had already been replaced, and I replaced these rear drop links. But as for the rest of the back of this car, well, it needs some attention. Cannot take an old Ford apart without mentioning the name Blowtorch. There you go, mate. Thanks. Enjoy. Well, that's worrying. The bolt for the rear subframe took a chunk of the rear subframe with it. And that's where it come from. Fingers crossed it's just surface like the rest of it. That's the bolts all out for the suspension arms. There's one bolt left each side for the subframe. We're going to lower that down now with a transmission jack. So we can probably get a slightly better look at this rear subframe, and well, yeah, I mean, it is an older car and it has done 146,000 miles, but surely that's bad, that is so bad. But the plan now is to strip it down completely, send it off for sandblasting and powder coating. Literally 30 seconds into the strip down of this rear subframe, and look at the state of this. We've just attempted to take this bolt off, and well, it may as well have been made of cheese. That's completely rounded, so time for the angle grinder. Although with the rusted bolts, this rear subframe was quite difficult to get off. It doesn't look like it was even half the problem it's going to be now, because all the little bolts to try and take the little ancillaries off, the little light level sensors and all that kind of stuff, they're rusted and they're proving to be a nightmare. Spare a thought for what is left of this rear subframe all over the floor of the unit. The anti-roll bar's off anyway. I'm very tempted at getting a replacement rear subframe for this car because these components are proving to be an absolute joke to try and get off. Everything is seized. But one interesting thing I have found out is that the rear subframe on this car is actually the same as the Mazda 3 and a Ford C-Max. So not only are we going to the extent of refurbishing that subframe and all of the suspension components that tie to it, we're also going to have a go at the underbody, the chassis legs, and try and tidy that up and retreat it. That wasn't my idea either, it's his. So Ashley specifically said, I need to make sure that you lot know that he has done the underside. He's restored this Astra GTE. He wanted to, he was specifically said, you need to make sure that your audience know that I did that. So Ash, I mean, it's suspect, isn't it? When somebody wants people to know that bad, you actually do wonder whether he did do it or not, to be honest. But
Or I didn't say that.
But either way, he did actually do it. And he wants to make this Focus RS look exactly the same, don't you?
Yeah, well, you won't let me.
So for those who are wondering, Ash is a Vauxhall fanboy and he's now ripping me Ford. And that is because the rear arches have been made in the exact same way as the front arches. And if you haven't watched the video where I actually made a new front arch for it because I wasn't paying £600 odd for the privilege of buying one that had been botched together by Ford, go and check that out. I'll put that just up there. But yeah, seriously, that is Ford's handiwork right there. You can see quite a lot of surface rust there, but it doesn't actually look that bad, to be fair. I have seen much worse. The best bit about this is the new top mounts that I did a few weeks ago. So the idea now is to try and drop the fuel tank. The exhaust as well is going to come off. And then it's my job, I think, which has been delegated by Ash, thanks very much, stripping this surface rust back off the legs, wheel arches, the underside of the car, and hopefully have it looking better. A little bit of good news for Evo GT, I think we found the reasons to why one wheel was sticking out further than the other. And starting from the track rod end, you can see that all looks pretty good, pretty level, and then all of a sudden, one is definitely longer than the other. Obviously, that's the reason why our wheel is sticking out further one side than the other. So a massive mound of rust later, and a load of whinging and swearing from Softlad, our Mark II Focus RS will be driving straight yet. Meanwhile, Ash is on holiday for 2 weeks. I'll get all the other parts ordered, things like the inner tie rods, trap rod ends, wishbones, bushes, all whatever it is that we need for this to put this back together. That is some shopping list I've got to work my way through to get this car back on the road now with its replacement subframe. If you don't want to miss that video, make sure you hit the notification bell so you'll be notified as soon as that video is uploaded. If you haven't already, make sure you subscribe to the channel. It helps massively. I hope you've enjoyed today's video. The Butty Van's here. I'll see you later.